What's up, gardeners? Welcome back to the jungle on this beautiful, what do we call this, fall? I guess this is fall in normal places. This beautiful fall day, late October, down here in Southwest Florida. We are fully into dry season now. Hurricane Milton a couple weeks ago was the last rain we got, and since then no rain, so it's dry season now. So we're into dry season activities. It also happens to be our best time of year for growing veggies, so that's kind of unfortunate because it means a lot more running around and manually watering. Anyway, what I'm going to talk about today is some things growing in the yard at this time of year for our pollinators. Because as we go into the winter season, as we get that way, nectar sources for our pollinators can become more scarce. So we want to help them out as we can, especially I'm talking about native pollinators like bumblebees. Honeybees are not native, so I'm not trying to help them at all. Anyway, first up, what we have right here is well, I thought it was a Bahama senna. Yeah, that should be a Bahama senna. It's either that or the privet senna, but this is the native Bahama senna plant here. It has these beautiful yellow blooms, gets full of them in the fall and the spring, and the native bumblebees and carpenter bees absolutely love it. The honeybees not so much, so that's a great one to support our native pollinators. Down here underneath it, this little guy with these cutesy, mindful little demure flowers and the beautiful red berries, that's rouge plant. I've also heard somebody call it dog blood recently, which is a terrifying name, but this rouge plant is great for tinier pollinators, and the birds love the berries. I recently saw a painted bunting in the yard feeding on the berries. So if you want to attract painted buntings, maybe try some native rouge plants in your yard. Next to that, we have the tropical sage, which blooms profusely all year round and volunteers all over the yard. They used to say it was native, that's why I bought it and planted it back when they were still calling it native. Now some botanists are saying maybe actually it's invasive, might be misclassified, so not so sure about that one. Then out here, we have another wonderful, beautiful Bahama senna in bloom. Beach croton is just gorgeous for the foliage, but not much in the way of blooms. Then this tall, lanky fellow here is our native frostweed. That's a great wildflower for this time of year. It's just starting to bloom right now, and it's blooming profusely. You might see it on roadsides outside of preserve and forested areas, but we got some seeds from the Native Plant Society and have planted it, and it is doing so great, and the pollinators love it this time of year. They love it. All right, here's a frostweed down at my level, so we can actually look at it. But really beautiful flowers that my phone is not focusing on, is it? Anyway, these flowers are pretty gorgeous. They kind of remind you maybe of edelweiss, if you know about that flower. Just beautiful, lovely native plant. You can see there we've got a bumblebee on it and a honeybee trying to, is it being aggressive towards that bumblebee? So the honeybees can actually be aggressive towards our native pollinators and chase them off. So that's why they're a problem, the honeybees. So they're not native, they can be aggressive, they are competition for nectar resources. So we want to support our native pollinators, not the honeybees. Unless you're a beekeeper, and if you're a beekeeper, you better plant some flowers for your honeybees so they're not just stealing the wild nectar from the wild bees. Here we also have a beautiful native snow square stem plant. Again, this is very, very popular for the pollinators this time of year, especially our native pollinators, like our bumblebees that we love. So this is a plant you must have in your garden, and it produces so much foliage and flowers. So if you are into chop and drop, this would be a great native plant to use for chop and drop, because it will just keep producing. You can prune it like crazy, which we did, and it just keeps growing back with more and more foliage, and it will attract lots of pollinators to your garden. So if you need some pollinators to pollinate some fruit trees, this is a great plant to have around. There's another bumblebee. So we do love our snow square stem. As you can see, it has taken over this area, this whole area, between that and the tropical sage. All right, and then here we have our tea bush, not to be confused with the plant we get tea from to drink. This is the native tea bush, Melochia tomentosa. Has these beautiful little pink or purple, depending on your eyes and your definition of colors, pink or purple flowers that the pollinators love. I know there's none on it right now, so it sounds like I'm a big fat liar. But I promise you, when it's full of blooms, the pollinators love it, and the chameleons actually like to come on this plant to hunt the pollinators, the invasive chameleons in our yard. I find them frequently on the tea bushes hunting the bees. Here is another senna plant, but this one is not the Bahama senna that we saw up front. This one is one that gets much taller. This is the privet senna. It's native, but look at that. That is gorgeous, lush foliage, bright, beautiful yellow flowers, very tropical look to it. This is a great addition to your garden, a great landscape plant to have in a mixed hedge, and it's just stunning. I don't know how more people aren't planting this native plant. And it's a legume, so I'm assuming it's fixing nitrogen for us as well. And it just brings so much joy to look at those gorgeous, bright gold flowers covered in honeybees and carpenter bees this time of year. And just, it's drought tolerant. It doesn't need a lot of water. It doesn't need fertilizer. I don't ever water or fertilize. That thing is just doing its own thing. So, gorgeous plant. That's a must-have. Speaking of watering, the only things we do water this time of year when it's drought is our veggie plants. Everything else is on its own, and it's going to be dry. So what I'm doing right now is I've been concentrating on, you saw my last video, getting mulch, remulching the pathways and all around, because now that we're in dry season, we got to do everything we can to keep whatever water is in the soil from our wet season. We want to keep it in there as long as possible. So adding organic matter, adding a thick layer of mulch, try to lock in that moisture as long as possible, since I only water the veggie plants. Here's our other tea bush that we have. So you can see this one's full of blooms. There's bees flying all over it. This is the one that the chameleons are usually hunting on. I've captured 3 chameleons on this one bush in the last month. And again, they're invasive. They're not supposed to be here, and they eat our native pollinators. So I don't want them here eating my bumblebees and honeybees. So when I see them out the window, I come out and grab them, and I find a home for them. If you're wondering what's behind this plant back there, that is the snowberry. Beautiful white berries, gorgeous. It's somewhere between a vine and a shrub. It's kind of a viney shrub, and it makes a great little hedge. We love ours. We love our snowberry. Beautiful native plant. And last but certainly not least is this beautiful vine here. This is called Jackmontia, or sky blue cluster vine. This is a native vine that it's just starting to bloom now. It's just beginning, but these beautiful sky blue flowers are going to be covering this entire vine, which has found its way up into our pine tree and all along this fence. But it's very soon it'll be completely covered in these beautiful sky blue blossoms, which will attract lots of pollinators. And this is great if you're looking to do a green fence. You know, you want to have a chain link fence and have a vine on it. The sky blue cluster vine is a great addition, and this will be blooming starting now and all through the winter. It's going to be gorgeous, just covered in a beautiful electric display of these sky blue blossoms, attracting pollinators, just making your yard look gorgeous. The rest of the year it's just nondescript green vine, but it's beautiful. You got to add one to your landscape if you can. This is a more tropical plant, so it's like zone 10 and 11. It will die back in a freeze, but it should grow back the next year. But consider adding that one. And of course, while it's not blooming this time of year, I can't forget to highlight this beautiful wild coffee plant. A little beat up by the hurricane, but the wild coffee currently covered in berries. And these are not like the coffee we drink. There's no caffeine in it. This is not where coffee beans come from. This is Psychotria nervosa, the native wild coffee in Florida. Looks very similar to a coffee, you know, like an Arabica coffee plant. But, sorry, no caffeine. But the birds love the berries. So we have it for the berries, or for the berries for the birds. And this time of year, when we have our winter birds migrating down, they're going to start devouring these berries, and this bush should be picked clean in a few weeks. They love the wild coffee berries. So anyway, that's it for today, guys. I gotta get back to mulching. And I got to clean out my pond and fill it with water because it's drying back very quickly in the drought. But not drought, just the dry season. Sorry. But that's all I have. I hope you guys are inspired to plant more natives in your garden wherever you live. Find some native plants, join your native plant society, and get to planting. Help support those pollinators because I can't do it alone. I can't do it alone, guys. We need the whole community to come together to do more things to help the environment, help pollinators, help wildlife. Don't just put your head in the sand and say it's not my problem, because it's everyone's problem. It's all of our responsibility. If we don't all do something and do more, it's going to get bad. So just get out there today, do something. Do something for the environment, something for wildlife, something for clean air, clean water, whatever you can do. And thanks for watching. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. Just FYI, I do not get paid for this channel yet. I have like 100 subscribers. I'm nowhere near ever getting paid. So I'm not doing this for the money. So don't think this is a channel for the money. Everything I do is just to spread more information about gardening in Southwest Florida and doing it in an environmentally friendly way. So thanks. Enjoy your gardening.